Yang dimuliakan Encik Kenneth Chai, penceramah undangan khas pada malam ini, yang berusaha, Puan Fauziah B. binti Muhammad Saleh, penasihat Kelab Penyayang UNIMAS, Saudara beliau, pengarah program, Info Talk, Nurturing Young Leaders, hadirin dan hadirat sekalian. Selamat datang ke program Info Talk, Nurturing Young Leaders. Hello Young Leaders semua, hai! Jadi sebelum kita memulakan program kita, saya ingin memperkenalkan diri saya melalui serangkap pantun. Okay, dengan baik-baik. Tenang di laman memetik seroja, pandang ke kanan ternampak biawak. Nama diberi ialah Mas Wajah, gadis cantik asal Sarawak. Gitu. Jadi terlebih dahulu, izinkan saya memberikan beberapa peringatan mesra dan beberapa perkara juga yang perlu dilakukan sepanjang program berlangsung. Dan anda semua amatlah digalakkan untuk membuka kamera masing-masing sepanjang tempoh program berjalan. Selain itu, sila pastikan mikrofon anda sentiasa berada dalam keadaan mute supaya tidak mengganggu kelancaran program. Anda hanya dibenarkan untuk membuka mikrofon semasa Q&A session nanti. Okay. Seterusnya, paparan QR Code akan ditayangkan di penghujung program dan link untuk mengisi kehadiran dan feedback akan dikongsikan di ruangan chat box untuk sesiapa yang tidak dapat nak mengakses ataupun scan QR Code nanti. Jadi saya rasa setakat itu sahaja peringatan mesra daripada saya. Jadi mohon kepada yang leaders yang hadir kepada hari ini, pada malam ini, supaya dapat memberikan kerjasama sepenuhnya dan terus kekal bersama kami sehingga ke penghujung program, okey? Dan tanpa membuang masa, saya mengalu-alukan Saudara Pedli untuk mengambil alih sesi seterusnya bersama Encik Kenneth. Dipersilakan.
Thank you, Ms. Wajah, for the friendly reminder. Before we continue on, I will be introducing myself first. I am Bradley Aoun and I will be the moderator for today's event. Now, before we invite Ken to the spotlight, I would like to introduce him briefly. Ken is the co-founder of the Learning Curve Kuching and Ergo Sendrian Berhad. He also has vast experiences in entrepreneurial and education background. So without further ado, we would like to invite Ken to start his talk.
Hello, good evening. So thanks Bradley and thanks everyone. Thanks to all the young leaders. It is a pleasure to be here on a Saturday evening. Like Bradley has introduced me, my name is Kenneth, but most people just call me Ken. So like he said again, I run a STEM education firm as an educator. So I teach in school. I teach science and engineering especially to children and young people like you. So one day, hopefully, that young people like you will make my life and my children's lives better. So some of you may have recognized me. I used to teach in the Faculty of Cognitive Science. So I think UNIMAS is no stranger to me. And even throughout my work, I have a few collaboration when it comes to how to reaching out STEM to students. I have worked a few times with UNIMAS. So apart from my teaching career, I am also an advocate in modernizing vocational and technical skills development. So academic to me is not the only way we can learn. So to me, technical skills and vocational skills is equally important. And especially in agricultural sector. So my startup focuses on addresses job and food security here in Sarawak. So I don't see my two startups as something distinctly different. These two jobs, because probably because to me, education and growing plants is somewhat similar. Just that you guys here grow a lot slower than a carrot, I would say. It takes what, 25 years before any one of you can start working, before the society can harvest you to be productive. So by carrot, it will take a few months only. And last of my background, I'm hoping that this is the least. For now, I'm also a co-founder of a new political party. So the country's first political movement that wants a new Malaysia that makes laws and public policies based on evidence and science instead of your age, your skin color, where your great-great-grandfather came from. So I believe it is time that we focus on changing our shared future together. Like it or not, you guys are all stuck with me here. So instead of the differences that we cannot change, I can't change my skin color. I did not choose to be born in this country. The country chose me to be born here. So I would prefer and I would hope that we can all celebrate the diversity that we have. And because I strongly also believe that the future lies in the hands of people like you, the people I'm speaking to right now. And every day when I walk into a lecture hall, into a classroom, starting a Google Classroom, Google Meet, it strengthens this belief in me that I, right now in my work, in my life, I hold it very sacred. That is why usually when people ask me, what do? I proudly say that I'm a teacher. So the Chinese, a few thousand years ago, the mainland Chinese they say this: if you want to reap what you sow within a year, go and grow jagung. If you want to reap what you sow within a decade, 10 years, plant a tree. But if you want to reap what you sow in a century, teach. So they say this in a proverb. So those of you here who understand Chinese, it simply means 十年树人, 十年树木, 百年树人. So I have this frame on my wall, reminding me that actual growth and consequential leadership takes time and great patience. So I guess that's enough about me, all right? So I guess I was invited here by Bradley to talk about you actually, because I was just like you 10 years ago. All of you here are also an influencer in your own way. When you buy a new iPhone 13, you go into the room and your friends all ask you, how is it? How's the battery life? And then after that, they go and buy one. You are an influencer right away. So we all influence each other. And I hope we do that positively. And since this series is titled Influencer Talk, I guess I'll start by addressing the word influence, all right? So someone once told me that the key to effective leadership is actually influence, not authority. So I want you to take a moment now. I'm not sure if you have any lecturers here listening. I want you to take a moment now and think about your lecturers right now. Take maybe 3 or 5 of them and imagine them, their name and their face appearing on your phone right now. Okay? So imagine the 5 of them that you hate and you like, all right? So do you answer it because that person is your lecturer? You're afraid of the lecturer? Or do you look forward to answer it because you look forward to anything that your lecturer has to share with you? So if you're afraid of your lecturer, you answer it because, oh shit, did I forget my homework? Did I miss my assignment? That is a leadership by authority. All right. So if you look forward to what your lecturer has to tell you, oh, is there a field trip? Is he trying to share a new topic with me? And that is a lecturer that you're inspired and you look forward to be influenced by that lecturer. Okay, so when you approach your juniors, one day you guys are going to have juniors, right? Most of you already have juniors, or you have followers, that people who work with you through authority. And if you choose to do it through authority by telling them you are a senior, you're in UNIMAS 2 years earlier than them, and you demand them to respect you, to call you certain thing, you forfeit a golden opportunity to lead effectively by positive influence. You chose authority. Okay, so leadership is actually a choice, and you are the only one. You are the one that make that choice. So whether you want to choose to lead positively or influence negatively, it's up to you. Okay, so never forget the power of positive influence. Actually, with like Spider-Man say, with great influence also comes great responsibility. Having the ability to influence means there are people out there today who aspire to be like you one day. They think what you're doing today is what they want to be doing someday. Like everything else, there are two opposing sides of the coin. All right. So what matters now is that you asking yourself today whether what you're doing now is good or not. right? With great influence also come great consequences. So personally, as a teacher myself, I always tell myself I'm on the right track. How do I know I'm on the right track, that what I'm doing is good? This is when my students, when they leave the classroom, for example, today, not knowing that I taught them anything. So if they come to my workshop and they win a competition, they go home and tell their parents, I won the competition, I did it all myself. So that is when I know I'm on the right track. Leadership is best when people barely know that I exist. When the work is done, when the aim is finally fulfilled, everyone goes home, impress their loved ones, and say we did it ourselves. So if my students actually go home and tell their parents, Mr. Kenneth said this, Mr. Kenneth said that, Mr. Kenneth taught me how to do this, then I know I'm not doing a good job here. Okay, so if I effectively taught you something as a teacher, I want you to say that you learn it yourself and forget about me. So consequences are very, very important and can even be life-changing. So it is like going to a movies, you know, when you watch a movie and the movie ended and you're walking out of the cinema into your car, go home in the shower. So you think about that movie and then you start Googling it about in your bed. So trying to understand the origins even. So can you think of a movie after you watch and you keep thinking about it? So my last one was probably Parasite. And I ended up reading about the South Korean socio-economic struggle after that. And that is how consequential and influence is. A movie is actually a very influential thing. Okay, so if you watch a movie and after that you just forget about it, it's not consequential at all. So remember about 5 lectures in your head just now? I want you to bring that back. So if I really want you to pick one that you really dislike, okay, so I give you about some time. Think about lecturer or teacher that you really, really dislike. So imagine that you're in the lecture room like right now. Would you want to go earlier? Stay, or would you stay a little bit more to speak to him or her? Okay, or would you read the topic before the class and explore the discussion online in the evening, or after the course you aspire to pursue his career or her career after the semester, or you just can't wait until exams to be over, burn the textbook and forget about it? So you see, right, positive influence as a leader is also very consequential. So if you hate the subject, most of the time it's nothing to do with the subject. It is the person delivering it. So next time, if you end up as a teacher, think about that. So personally, can you imagine me, my younger student is 7 years old. So leading and influencing young people is very, very consequential. My influences, can you imagine me going to a primary class and I teach science, for example. So if they hate, they leave the classroom and say that they hate science, I would blame myself. And can you imagine if they hate science in their secondary school and then they decided not to pursue anything that has to do with science in their university? So that is how the butterfly effect is for the consequences. So any one of you here heard about Twitter? So I'm not young as you guys, so I would say I'm not someone who is very active on social media. So when I started an account on Twitter, probably 10 years ago, I stumbled across someone who tweeted two words that would shape the way I approach almost everything today in my business and even in my relationships. So he tweeted these 2 words: under promise, over deliver. Okay, so I would use this wisdom throughout my entire business proposal and even my marriage. Okay, so it is something which I really hope, I always tell myself, I wish I had learned it earlier in my life. So I would personally approach this random stranger online, and today he is like a mentor to me. Every time when I go to KL, I would sit down and talk to him. I speak to him whenever I need an objective overview of any issues that concern me. And I would definitely say that right now, he is one of the most influential person to me. He changed my life, actually. So next time when you approach your job, think about this. Can you under promise and then over deliver? If you do the otherwise, then I mean, I'll let you learn from your mistake. All right. So this brings me to my next emphasis on youth leadership, actually, which is teach the younger what you learned late. Okay. Youth empowerment is about making the next generation better than yourself. When I am 40 years old, teaching a bunch of 20-year-olds in a classroom, I better make sure that this bunch of 20s know much more than me by 30 years old. So if they're just like, in their 40s, they're just like me, then I have failed as an educator. Okay, being a generation ahead is taking the risk in front of the younger one so they can see your struggles and learn from your mistakes. Definitely not expecting the younger to go through your same struggles and mistakes. Do you know that someone who always like to say, back in my days, I had it tougher. When I was younger, it wasn't as easy as you would have today. So these are the toxic people you should stay away from, all right? Never let those kind of things affect you. So I know a lot of older people like to come to you. Back in my days, I didn't have Wikipedia. So right now, you guys should be grateful. The world is supposed to get better. Are you trying to say that the world is supposed to get worse for me? Yeah, I have to work more. All right. So don't let things like that affect you. Know that most of the time, being right is often harder than being wrong. Always choose the harder right than the easier wrong, because at the end of the day, people, especially those younger than you, will always be inspired by what you are doing than what you have to say. Okay, never think someone is right because of their name, and especially here in Malaysia, the titles in front of their name. Okay, leadership is an action, never a position. All right, you don't want people to be like you, your position. You want people to be better than you. If you're a good leader, you want people to be better than you. Okay, one more thing here. A little selfishness is okay, actually. Don't let people tell you that selfish is not a good thing. You can turn it into a good thing. So be selfish in a good way. I personally want to be so good at my job for one reason. So imagine after being a teacher and a lecturer for 30 years, when I retire, I get to inspire hundreds, if not thousands, of chefs, scientists, engineers, artists, politicians, educators. It means I can get to retire in a country with good laws and policies, good medical inventions, art, that make my that make my post-retirement life a paradise. Or at least when I go to a restaurant, at least the chef recognizes me, hey, hi teacher, and I get a free meal. All right, so don't let others dictate what motivates you. You have to craft the life that makes you happy first before others. You cannot lead and inspire if you yourself do not enjoy the vision that you preach. That is quite negative in the long run. And a lot of things that we are doing do not have a path ahead. Okay, you guys are young leaders. So when even for myself, when the learning curve was started, nobody is doing what we are doing today in Kuching, even until today. So as I'm growing my agricultural startup right now, I don't really have a company in front of me to emulate or to learn from. My team had to make all those mistakes and learn it for ourselves. And leadership, especially young leadership today, is also not about following a path, but going instead where there is no path and leave a trail for others to explore ahead of us. All right, remember that. And people rarely follow or inspire by you because you know everything. We are all human. We don't know everything, and we are not capable of everything either. So people are inspired by you because of your ability to learn quickly and be better. So let me ask you today, name me a successful entrepreneur. So, the cliche one that everybody would say, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, or this personality. So would you rather follow them and find it more exciting to follow them when they started their business 10 years ago? Or do you think it's more exciting to follow them now, right? And invest in them from now. So I think you would agree that it's much more exciting to follow them back then 10 years when it was nothing, and watch SpaceX, Tesla, Amazon grow from what they were until today. So we humans are more inclined to invest in growth, actually, betting on the horses when they are ponies. Okay, and I guess this goes both ways as well. If you're a leader, know that people appreciate your sincerity in learning and growing your character. It doesn't mean you're weak. You just show them that you're good in learning. So a character is often judged by how you treat those who can do nothing for you. It is in my opinion today that I'm more inclined to invest in young generation like yourself. And I expect to be inspired by your ability to learn and grow quicker than myself. Whether you're a leader looking for leadership, always let people see your potential for growth. No, there's no need to impress them to tell them you are good in everything. Okay, nobody is. But then show your potential to learn and to grow. And that is when people invest in you actually. So when people follow you, they invest in you. Your journey matters as much, if not more, than your achievements. And it is those who join you in the journey that you remember later on and cherish. It makes it much more rewarding. So I always remember who actually helped me when I start my business when it was earning 50 ringgit a day. So right now, if I mean, like, of course, I appreciate those who actually helped me today, but it's just that it's much more memorable thinking about back then when I was struggling. All right. So many youth today that are used to today struggles with one thing that many are not aware of until they're too late. This is the only thing that I really want to have it across all of you. And this is also not entirely due to their fault. Okay, when I founded the learning curve, it was just the four of us, 4% only. Fortunately, we were able to break even within months. Our business was making more money within 4-5 months and started generating not only revenues but profits. One of our partners wanted immediately to split the profit as soon as possible, while most of us wanted to reinvest into growing operations, going to other states and schools. So long story short, he decided to cash out his investment, about 3,000 ringgit back then. So today, the remaining 3 of our co-founders are still actively reinvesting our salary and everything into growing our brand and business, hoping to reach out even more communities. Right now, we teach in KL, we teach in Penang, we teach in Sabah, organizing more programs. We have more international partners right now. So if he had held the 20% shares, can you imagine 20% 4 years ago, 4-5 years ago, he would have magnitudes more today. 3,000 is nothing, right? Than the amount he withdrew 4 years ago. So what I'm trying to say here is the concept of delayed gratification. Have you guys learned this in school? Have somebody told you this before? Delayed gratification is not mentioned enough in our generation. Due to the modern social media, tech consumption, gratification are almost always expected to be instant. Example, whether it's retail, video games, or even in romantic relationship, we expect instant gratification. When you click the button to buy on Shopee on 11/11 2 days ago, you immediately wanted to track your items immediately to see when it arrives. When you want to date someone, you go on Tinder, you swap each other and start chatting away right away. But then you already know the both of you had already confessed that you're attracted to each other. There's no need to guess anymore. So all this gratification must be instant. It's convenient, yes, but the same system that we got addicted to, or the dopamine shortcuts, will also affect how you approach your daily problems. All right, because you're so used to instant gratification, you cannot wait anymore. All right, your brain, just like a drug addiction, always need more the next time. When you post an Instagram post, you refresh for the next 10 seconds to see how many likes you get. You know, when things don't go our way instantly right now, we just give up. We have a generation of lost patience. I am guilty together with you in that generation as well. We have to remember that good things take a long time. And personally, getting into agriculture actually helped me to change my expectations of my surroundings, especially the things that are way out of my control. It taught me to wait. It taught me that almost everything is not in my full control at all. It taught me to delay my expectation of gratification. By doing so, it relieved my mind, lower my expectations, and what I allow to affect me. So I believe this is what many would call stoicism, if you read up on it. So all the social media, Instagram showcase that are being curated right now to show only the positive highlights is taking a toll on our young generation's mental health, where all of us think that we are never that pretty, we're not that successful, we don't have a perfect modeling body, we don't have that 5 million followers. So this is not true. This is what they curate. All right, there are much more things that is imperfect that they hide. So never feel that you're not good enough just because you had a Instagram algorithm that show you all those things. So if you're going to lead today, there are a million expectations from a million different people whom you don't even know whether are real or not. Okay, don't believe me, log on Twitter right now and see how people kejam here, people here and there. All right, so never let what others say affects you if you are going to lead. Okay, as long as you know what you're doing is right, and never let what happens out of your control affects you. Always recognize what you can control or what you cannot, and take full control of how you react. Not everything needs your reaction. Social media right now has so many reactions. You can thumbs up, you can thumbs down, you can put an angry face. This is not true in life. Sometimes you don't have to react, because that is whenever you react, that is when everybody watches and follow. Okay, so if you do it correctly, that is when people start to invest and be inspired. And I think this is what leadership is about. Okay, so most of you here are 20, 25, or some even not even 20 yet. Next year, all of you will be able to participate directly in not only our democracy, but also taking political leadership in the country. Okay, you get to voice your opinion, suggest your solutions, bring it to the table where the adults sit. Something your seniors have been fighting for years, if not decades. Almost 50% of our voters next year will be below the age of 40. However, less than 10% of our members of parliament and state assembly persons are below 35. Half of the adults, young people like you, are dictated by people that are supposed to retire with your grandparents already. So there have never been a better opportunity to right now find your strength and leadership, explore your potentials, and hopefully one day inspire more to follow you. You know, as I'm aging beyond my youth category right now and had the opportunity to work with so many students, watching them taking up leadership roles in communities, I dare say this: any society that does not succeed in tapping into the energy and creativity of the youth like you guys will be left behind. So we are already behind for decades. With our strengths in diversity, I personally am confident. This is why I moved back to Malaysia as well, to Sarawak, because I'm confident that we can catch up with those who have overtaken us in the fields of democracy like Indonesia, innovation like South Korea, or even industries such as Vietnam and China. So my children's future is not only in the hands of young leaders like you, but your children counting on you to lead us forward as well. So I want you to take back what is rightfully yours, take charge, and lead us into a better tomorrow. And before I end this lecture, I also hope that one day, one of you here that I'm looking may overtake and lead me into a society that does a better good than I can ever achieve. Go and set out and make a difference, and forget about the role. Just focus on the goals. We all have visions, especially at your age. I'm sure you close your eyes, there are great visions. But some of you here, some of you will turn that vision into our collective shared reality. And I look forward to that. My name is Kenneth. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, Ken, for the informative talk. Now, before we open the Q&A session to our young leaders, I would like to break the ice by asking you a question regarding young leaders. Now, do you see a future in young leadership in Malaysia?
Of course I do. I mean, the whole lecture is about how much I think. Thank you for giving me a chance to actually tell all the young people that a lot of us, especially at my age group and in my association, are actually looking forward. Being a teacher gives me a privilege to work closely with young people. Sometimes I always tell people that half of the time my students are teaching me back. So every time when I do a group project or I do an assignment, I'm actually trying to steal your ideas actually. So I believe that you guys have so much better access to information in a way that I don't know how yet. You guys have so much more access to communication on how to collaborate on different platforms, finding solutions together that I myself always like to tap into. So this is why I think I believe in the youth leadership of today, especially in Malaysia, because our diversity is something that other countries should be jealous about. I worked in China before, which is very monotonous. Everybody is the same culture, speak the same language, eat the same food. So whenever we have a problem, the solutions are always monotonous, but not here in Malaysia. If we allow our young people to go to put away the differences and come together and celebrate our diversity, this is where we can see our strengths actually. We just have to go past that, put aside our differences, and after that, believe me, you will see it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ken, for the answer. Now we would like to open the Q&A question to everyone so that everyone will have a chance to present the question to Mr. Ken. You guys can start by putting your hands up, unmuting your mic, introducing yourself, and start asking a question. Or you can write it on the chat box and I will read it for you. Do we have any question?
Hi, Mr. Ken. My name is Noraina Shafika, and I just want to ask one question. Um, just now you stated about under promise and over deliver. I just feel so interested with that statement. So can you please explain more about that statement? Thank you.
Yes. Under promise, over deliver. So whenever your parents talk to you or talking to you, you know, when I usually use in my operations. So if I think I can deliver, for example, 80, I would tell them that I would deliver 70 actually, and then I'll over deliver by giving them 80. Actually, 80 is what I plan to deliver anyway. So I put down my promise and say it's 70 instead. Most people right now, because they want to impress whoever it is, especially their client or their teachers or everything, they would instead promise 85 when they can deliver 80. Ask yourself, have you done that before? So every time when we try to, people ask us to do something, when you can deliver 80, you actually tell them, oh, I can do it 85. So turn it around and say time. So actually you can submit your assignment on Thursday. But then sometimes just to impress that moment, you just say, oh, by Wednesday, you'll be ready. If somebody asks you to go somewhere and it's about 4 o'clock, you said, oh, I'm on the way, 3:30, I'll be there. So that is called over-promising. So try next time, the next thing that you do, the next promise that you're going to make, including to your boyfriends or girlfriends, try to under promise. If you are going to meet her by 4 o'clock, just tell her that, oh, I'll be a little late, I'll be there at 4:10, but turn up at 4. All right, so that is under promise, over deliver. I think it works amazingly for me in my business and in my relationship, in my friendship with others. So I've been doing this for quite some time, and it is something that I always tell myself I should have learned it sooner, and I'll be a better person. So, and I hope that at your age, you learn it earlier than me and can make full use of it. You're gonna have better friends. You're gonna have better relationship and friendships. I hope I answered your question. No, Shafiq.
Okay, thank you, Aina, for the question. Now, do we have another question from other participants, from other young leaders? Remember, you can just put your question on the chat box and I will answer it for you. I will ask it for you. Or you can just unmute your mic and you can just ask the question.
Is it anyone?
Okay, so we have a question from Nur Shafika. Okay, so the question is, can you share your favorite books that leave impact on the way you view your life? So do you have a book that impacts you on the way you view your life?
Uh, if you want me to think about back then, in a consequential book, I don't have, but recently I've been reading this. Give me a moment, I think it's right. I just finished The Disappearing Spoon. Oh, it's my thing. Yep, can't say it. So there's this book called The Disappearing Spoon, and then because when I was in chemistry in Form 4, I always failed chemistry. If you ask my teacher back then, I think I scored 20, 30s every time. But eventually, at the end, I mean, if I memorize all the books, I got an A1. But that's not the point. The point is I fell in love with chemistry too late. And because I didn't like the teacher, I hated the teacher and I hated the subject. I never attended the subject, never paid attention. But recently, because I teach chemistry, and I discovered this book called The Disappearing Spoon by Sam Keen. So it made me revisit and reevaluate chemistry. So, you know, chemistry is always, people always say a boring subject, right? But it's not. So it taught me how to teach. And this book is all about all the elements in the periodic table and the history of how they found it. So I right now use it to teach in school. For example, I'm not sure that most of you here are in which faculty. For example, my latest lecture for the kids is how to kill a vampire. So every time I have a title like that, the kids will be like, "Oh, are we going to learn about vampire today?" So my whole idea is to teach about Argentum silver. So I usually ask the kids. We're talking about primary school kids here. Do you guys know vampires? And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. What are vampires around the world?" I'll ask the Chinese, how's their vampire? I'll ask the people who are familiar with the Western vampire, and they all come back with the same things that vampires are most afraid of. For example, number one, they're afraid of silver. And then number two, they're afraid of sunlight, right? Even the Pontianak here is scared of sunlight. So have we ever thought how? Why is it everywhere around the world, there are vampires, their Pontianak are scared of sunlight? And most of them are scared of silver. Korea, China, Western one, Romania even. So I use this way to teach. Okay, the reason is because silver, when you guys go and vote next year, you're gonna realize that you guys get to dip your dip your hand into the ink, right? And then after that, your hand will be black. That's called the indelible ink. That is actually silver. So I still have it on my hands. So silver, when it's ionized, when it got in touch with any organic material and under the sunlight, it will become black forever until you lose your skin, the dead skin, and then after 2 weeks it washes off. So because back then a lot of the coins and gold coins and money are in silver, they realized that, oh, if I put silver on organic stuff and under the sunlight, they try to become black and rot. So they realized that they didn't realize, they just said that, oh, vampires might be afraid of the silver, afraid of the sunlight. So right now, this is how I teach in classroom. I give them an experiment, I turn metal into silver. So I even have another class that in the beginning, I should just tell them how to build a bomb. So for the next 3 hours, the students will have just full attention because I actually tell them end of the class, we are all going to make a fireworks. So this book actually changed how I teach. When I go into the classroom, I start to be a storyteller instead of a lecturer. So I think in that way, people are more hooked on the subject because there is a story behind everything that we learn today, and then how we can apply the thing that we learn. Yep.
Okay, thank you, Nur Shafika, for the question. Right, so we have another question from Nurul Hamizah. So the question is, can you share the different youth in Malaysia and other countries you have traveled previously and share their culture?
The youth. I teach in China before. I teach in Abu Dhabi before for my company, and the good thing about Malaysia is, like I said just now, our diversity. I really like the Malaysian diversity. When it comes to solving problems, we are always we always have diverse solutions. I guess that's why you always see some competitions won by Malaysians are always very unique. We are like that because we are very few country in this world, aside from Singapore, that is a melting pot of culture. This is why I am very sad that when we become adults, we let these differences affect us. We let it distract us because we are much more inclined into hatred. So in Malaysia right now, the things that also make us strong is also dividing us. Okay, this is the thing that I see about Malaysia, which is a double-edged sword. But the thing is, when you're abroad, you see Malaysia, naturally they come together regardless of their skin color or their tradition or their beliefs. Because when you're outside, you start to find your strengths and then you realize that you are stronger together. Everyone start to speak Malay because the other people cannot understand us. Okay, if Sarawakians go out, we start speaking Bahasa Sarawak because we think that people can't understand us. So I think only by having a common enemy, we will stand together and unite. So people always say that, oh, you are Chinese, you are Indian, you are Dayak, you are Malay. But as soon as there is an enemy come, I think all of us will help each other and try to defend our country. So I always appreciate this, but at the same time, I think our youth lacks in a lot of things as well when I was teaching in other countries. Number one is our young fresh graduates are not as hungry as other countries. Maybe it's not entirely the fault of their own, but also the way our education system work. Countries like Thailand, Japan, South Korea, China, and especially Germany, they have a very strong technical school. Here in Malaysia, we have one problem. If your result is not good, you go to art stream. I want to change that as a teacher. That is not true. If you don't score good PMR or PT3, you go to art stream. If you're good in studies, you're smart, you go to science stream. That is not true. Okay, you can equally, in other countries, these students, even though they are good in art, they go to technical school. If they are good in academic, they can also study music. It doesn't matter. All it matters is the passion and the motivation, actually. I myself got put in a science class, but then there are so many things about art that I want to learn, so many things about economics that I want to learn. I couldn't, because the school and the society dictates what I like. So that shouldn't be it. So we end up with students who are very good at memorizing and scoring exams, but you can see that in Malaysia, you have like maybe a mechanical engineers majoring in automotive, 3.99 CGPA. Straight away, I asked the Malaysian student, can you change my truck oil filter? They say they can't. All right, so this is the setback that I've seen. Whereas the American, the Vietnamese, even though they are just a diploma holder, but they can do so much more when it comes to technical. So I think Malaysia has this, when it comes to education, our vocational and academic are being split too far apart. Let me ask you, most of you here are from academic, right? You got your SPM, right? Name me a friend, a good friend that is sit for SKM. Do you have it? No? You have to think. Right, so that is really our problem actually. So and then I go to teach in SKM. I teach in Sekolah Teknik Matang, Vocational Matang. I ask them, do you have any friends who sit for SPM? They say no. This is something that shouldn't happen. We are all one family. I think our technical school and our academic school should put us together rather than split us apart. And back then, people always look down on people who go to SKM, right? You went to technical school, you went to vocational school. You must you must be very bad in studies. Your mathematics must be so bad. That is not true. It shouldn't be true, and our children shouldn't carry on studying in environment like this. So this is what, when I teach in other country, I realize that that is their strength, and we have our strengths, and we can be stronger if we know what is going on. That's why I've been lobbying back then. For the school to start mixing these two together. In my competition, Science by Sarawak Energy, the first state level science fair, I always make groups that is somebody from Chinese school, somebody from technic school, somebody from vocational school, and somebody from private school, and Cambridge and SPM all together. And that is, and then if you actually Google back, you can see all this team making electric car together. They have different solutions, and then they realize, oh, nobody is so smart, nobody is so stupid. We are all the same, but we are given the wrong impression by the society, which is very bad actually, I think. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ken. So we have, this may be the last question. This is from Nurul Natasha. Hi, Mr. Ken. My name is Natasha. What is your opinion regarding the title influencer that today's generation labeled to people who are just famous in social media platform?
Yeah, I think I told you, Bradley, right? At first, when I saw my poster, I was also shocked. I don't consider myself an influencer because of the, when people say influencer, usually is about those people on Instagram who sell stuff, I think. So it's true. I mean, in one way, they're influencing people by, For example, this is my new phone. Can you please take a look at it? I review 5 out of 5. You should go and buy it. So yeah, that's one way of influencing. But then to me, I think if those of you follow me on Twitter would know that I don't usually do that kind of thing. I think people follow me for a wholly different reason. Maybe they want to follow my progress in the work that I do, and I really appreciate that. So whether it's in education, in agriculture, or in politics, and I don't have anything against that actually. But your title influencer talk, people may think that is telling people that I'm a social media influencer. I think that influencer sticks more to those, Insta famous rather than, or TikTok famous. Right now, you guys are more into TikTok, right? See, I'm getting out of touch already. Should I get a TikTok account? Or would that be creepy to have this old guy in Twitter doing doing videos?
Okay, so we have maybe one more slot for a question. So we have one from Esther. Hi Ken, my name is Esther. I want to ask, what are your advice for the young leaders that want to try a new challenge in their life but afraid of others' perception?
What kind of perception?
Maybe expectation?
Okay, you guys is the best time right now to start. The best time is now. Do you know why? Because you don't have a debt. Probably education debt, nothing much. You don't have the things that I have to consider. For example, right now, when I quit my job in 2016, I have houses, I have my wife, I have my kid, which is 3 years old, that I have to move back to Malaysia. So can you imagine all this thing behind my head when I say I want to start my own business or start my own stuff? So you guys right now, when you have a new idea and you want to pursue it, whether it's a business, it is a political movement, or whether a new association, you should go ahead. Because what is the worst that can happen? You are already just about to start your life, right? So if you do it right now, the things that you lose are much more less compared to if you're gonna do it when you're 40. When you're at my age right now, you have a family, you have to think about, oh, can I pay the meal next 3 months? Can I would I gonna get evicted from my house? Will the bank come and tow my car away? Will people like, for example, right now when I start a political party, will my client be in want to pull out of my being associated with me? So all these things are baggage that you don't have right now. I don't think you have a very big reputation right now that you have to take care of. I think you have a reputation that you want to grow. You have a credibility that you want to grow right now. And that's why this is the best time. You can plan, you can set your path right now, and then you have nothing much to lose yet. When you are older, you have more to lose. That's what I mean, relatively. And right now you are young, you're energetic. I think you guys can hang out until what, 1 a.m. Me, 9 a.m. I feel like lying on my sofa and sleep already. All right. So I think your age is the best. You have all your network, your friends who are crazier, who would go ahead with you. If you say jump, how high, right? But at my age, imagine I want to start something new and I ask my friends who are in almost their 40s, they would think twice before they decide to help me. And one more thing, you cannot do things alone. Find your friend. And right now is the best time. You know why? Your friends are not your rivals yet. When you go to office next time, when you enter the career next time, your colleagues will be your competitor as well, like it or not. If you're friends with, I know some of you may go to work and say that, oh, they're my friends, but at the end of the day, they are a competitor. The best friends are found in school. Right now, the people that start TLC with me are my kindergarten and primary school friends. The people that start agro with me are my friends from my university in Scotland. So these are the people I trust. These are the people I want to spend the rest of my life with, and these are the people that I know are genuine. When you work next time, you may meet new people, but these people may not share your vision and may compete with you as well. So I think that's why right now, with all your friends, you don't have a family yet, you don't have to take care of your baby at home. So I think this is the best time. Yeah.
Okay, so I think time is up for Q&A session. So thank you everyone for the wonderful questions. now we are going to give the stage to Mas Wajah for the last session of tonight's event. Mas Wajah.
Okay, sorry. Ada dua soalan lagi dekat dekat chat box. So, boleh tengok dulu lah. Mana tahu diorang sangat-sangat curious mau tahu jawapan.
People. I think I can answer them. I just read them. Both are almost the same, kan? So self-doubting, that's good. I mean, if you self-doubt yourself, sometimes it's a good time to. I do that all the time. You know, everyone say that having for example, as a business owner who started a new business, it's always a roller coaster ride. So in the beginning, my ideas are so good, and then after that, when I build on it, I would, at one point think that okay, this idea is shit. I don't think it's ever gonna be good, and then I go down, self-doubt spiral down, and okay, I should give up right now, and then suddenly I have a new client, I go back up again. It's a roller coaster ride. So how do I handle it? If I ever experience one, we experience it all the time. Sometimes, especially in a business, you don't know how the market is going to react. Like I said just now, don't let it affect you. Okay, things you cannot control, like your friends' feedback, like how people think about you. These are the things that you cannot control. So why worry about them? Why invest in all this energy about them? There are so many things you can't control. Are you going to get angry if it rains tomorrow? Are you going to get angry if the internet suddenly break right now? Because these are not the things that you can control. So is your anger going to change anything? If not, why make yourself angry? So just sit down, do something else that you love. Always find something else that you love and then forget about it. If you cannot control it, don't react to it. Okay, only react when you think it's under your control. And again, that is when your followers watch you. They watch your action, how you react. So Alan Panas, what is this? What are people? Why people follow them? I don't know. I follow certain people on YouTube because they give very good giveaways. I follow certain people because they give me the information that I want. I don't know about you, but I think we all follow people. Like I said, we are all influencing each other. So whether you want it for the positive influence or negative influence, you have to curate it yourself. Your life is under your control. If you go and follow all the toxic people or the toxic influencer, then don't be surprised if your life starts getting toxic. Everything has a double-edged sword. People may say that social media is bad. I think it's good. Never in our human history that we are so connected. I think without social media, Bradley wouldn't even got in touch with me. Am I right? So people may say Twitter is a bad thing. People may say Instagram is a bad thing. But whether it's bad or not, it's up to you how you manage your time, how you curate yourself. Everything has a positive and negative side. It all depends on you.
Okay, thank you again for the questions. So Mas Wajah, you can proceed to the next session.
Sekiranya semua sudah selesai, maka dengan ini boleh saya katakan tamatlah sudah program kita pada malam ini. Saya Mas Wajah selaku pengurusi majlis anda ingin mengucapkan ribuan terima kasih terutama sekali kepada Encik Kenneth Chai kerana sudah hadir berkongsi ilmu pengetahuan kepada anak-anak muda pada malam ini, dan terima kasih juga kepada Young Leaders yang hadir bagi memeriahkan program. Saya ingin mengucapkan tahniah kepada anda kerana anda adalah Young Leaders yang sangat hebat. Woo! Tepuk tangan semua. Jadi pihak kami ingin memohon maaf sekiranya terdapat banyak kekurangan sepanjang tempoh program ini berlangsung. Dan dengan ini, saya menutup tirai program Info Talk Nurturing Young Leaders bagi tahun 2021. Selamat malam Young Leaders semua. Bye!